Yo guys, and welcome back. I've got a bunch more progress for you today. So in the last episode we left off with playing around with the land monsters, which are going to be the willow swords. And I saw I had a couple of mixed responses on that part, but I think it's a nice little bonus. And just to confirm, by the way, I will be adding many more creatures on the surface. I will be playing a lot around the AI and such to make things just feel a little bit more alive, but again, like I've been saying before guys, this is very early work in progress. Believe me, I would love to just shove in everything immediately, but I gotta bear in mind the complexity meter. That's always gonna be that big overarching thing. But as you can see here, I've gone ahead and made the land a lot more, just a bit prettier overall, added some bits of grass which have some rather interesting mechanics, or at least the way that the willow swords interact with them is interesting. The area is a little bit small because, like I mentioned before, the surface is not the main focus of the aquatic stage. I mean, of course it isn't. It's mainly meant to be like a nice little bonus area, but I hope it's at least, you know, a little bit more interesting to look at now. The reason why I'm not going further is because I do want some of this adventure to be kept as a surprise to you guys, so, you know, if you want to play the willow swords and whatever creatures may exist in the future, you can play for yourselves when it's finished. So, now that we've got that bit done, I want to get back and start thinking about the objectives once again. Now, the original first objective for Act 1 was to encourage the player to explore the shallows, explore the first biome. Now, this is of course going to be the safest. The objectives I had in mind were to explore, you know, certain areas, get some food along the process, and therefore they would naturally accumulate DNA, which would then push into the next objective. Now, I've not really gotten those objectives nailed just yet, but just for my own point of ease, and also for you guys to understand as well, just for the time being, temporarily, I've added a couple of these giant pink beams of light here. That way, I think like having 4 areas to explore, that's going to be more than enough. And they're very simple. They're going to be around, you know, specific areas. So this one, for example, is going to be around a corpse. Which, by the way, I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but every bit of food here, all the different pieces of food that you may have seen around, such as these smaller bits of plant, the bits of meat, there are some fish over here as well. These little piles of food over here. Every one of these is a healing power-up. And so I want the players to know that if they go ahead and explore this carcass, that if they see any other carcasses like further deep into the ocean, they're gonna know this is a rich area to find food, to heal themselves up if they need to, and therefore to get a whole bunch of DNA. The same goes for this area here. This is going to be the herbivore equivalent, where again, you know, if you find like large areas of vegetation like this, you are likely to find a large amount of food, and therefore DNA. You see the kind of gist I'm going with here. Also, I plan on using this little gap here, turning it into some sort of nest. But again, that's for a little bit later. We've got this area over here, which again, another place to explore, another area to like get the player's attention for later on throughout the adventure, is, you know, some little cave kind of like things. I'll be honest, a couple of days after I first made these, I'm really not liking this area at all. In fact, I think I might go ahead and get rid of it now, and I am going to remake that later on, but that's the thing currently. And of course, like I said before, obligatory tunnel. I mean, you gotta have a tunnel. You gotta have like a nice little cool coral tunnel to swim through. I'm pretty sure a lot of players would do that. Now, the major thing here is that you don't need to explore every single one of these to get all your DNA. Because I don't actually know what diet the player is going to be. What I'm thinking is, because at the end of the day, whether you have a herbivore or a carnivore or an omnivore mouth, you're still gonna have sing and bite. Right? At least that's the case in the creature stage. It's pretty sure it's going to be the case here as well. And I want the option to be down to the player for what diet they choose to get. So for example, obviously this is what we have so far. I'm going to add a lot more into this area later on. But the general plan is that the player will not have to go to every one of these things. They're not going to have to eat, you know, both meat and both vegetation. They can choose just the one, and if they keep on going, say, just for meat, I'll have enough meat around the area where they can still gain all the DNA they need to progress without switching diets. It's very role-player-ish. It does rely on the player actually doing it themselves if they so wish to choose. It just gives the element of choice and options, you know, so that way I don't force the player to be an omnivore, I don't force them to be a herbivore, they make the choice themselves. That's going to be like the, you know, the general gist of it later on. Now, in terms of further progress I've made off camera, I have gone ahead and just made this biome here just a little bit larger. As you can see here, this is going to be the coral forest. And I've made it significantly larger because after checking out the original 2005 Aquatic Stage demo, obviously it's a demo, it was a long time ago and it wasn't finished, but that one made the area look much, much larger, and it didn't make me feel like my Aquatic Stage might be a little bit cramped, so I wanted to try and make that area larger. The open ocean over here, well, first of all, it's massive, but mainly when we actually get there later on, I'm hoping I can make the illusion it's gonna seem really, really large. It's really hard to explain without giving too much away, but we'll get to that in the future, don't you worry. After all, I'm recording the entire progress of this adventure, don't you worry, you're gonna see that later on. And, oh, what's happened here? I think oh, okay, I must have made a mistake at some point. Like I said, I've been playing around the terrain quite a bit. This one here was actually a little hill. It was like a little spice node. So let me go ahead then and just make that slightly bigger. Not too big. Right, so let's go ahead and test and see. Oh, no, it's still a bit too high. Right, okay, never mind then. So the way I had this set out was that it was just a little bit shallow. It was a little bit tall, but not terribly tall, so the player can still walk up on top of it. With the idea being, just like in the creature stage, the player can walk into the spice node and get blown up into the water. They'll be risen up. That way, you know, for later on, I'll implement this later on, they can then swim at a higher plane. Now, hopefully that's the thing I could do. It's going to be a little bit tricky to implement, but that's going to be the overall goal. Let's go ahead and put that little dip back in there. See if I can make that dip just a little bit deeper, and duplicate if I have to. Oh, there we go. That's a bit too deep. But don't worry, guys, don't worry. You're not going to get stuck in this. Like I said, there's going to be a way that you get blown up into the water. So don't worry about, you know, terrain and such. So that is that thing over there. Now then, as for making progress, for Act number 1, the idea was the player would have to explore these different areas. Now for Act number 2, they'll be making their own nest. Now, I can imagine making a nest might seem a little bit, compared to the creature stage and compared to the south stage, making a nest might seem a little bit, not complicated per se, but different, alright? And the reason why I actually want to have a nest involved is for 2 reasons. First of all, it will provide a natural defensive. It's actually going to play a mechanical or strategic role later on. So you're going to want to have a nest. Now, second of all, again, building a nest is something that you don't do in the creature stage, so it seems a bit weird to have it included. Now, the reason why I think this will fit in is because throughout Spore, it does kind of tell you to do certain objectives, and then in the next stage, it completely forgets everything about those objectives as if you already have them. And I kind of feel like in the creature stage, where you spawn in a nest, I kind of like the idea that the nest was, you know, you learnt how to make a nest previously. Now, as a comparison, let's say in the tribal stage, you've learnt how to make, you know, your little tribe, your buildings, learn how to make fire and all that kind of stuff, and then in the civ stage, none of that matters. You're not even controlling your creatures anymore. And then when you go from the civ stage to the space stage, you're not even making your buildings and your individual cities anymore, you just plot down an entire colony and call it a day. So, like I said, as the stages of Spore goes on ahead, you kind of, you know, no longer have to do these things. So again, like I said, I feel like making a nest here would just be like a nice little extra thing, and like a nice way to flesh out the stage. Now, as for those nests, I want to give players the option. Just like the whole dietary thing, I want players to have the option of what nests they have. So, first one is very, very obviously going to be some kind of cave. Now, like I said, I do want to make these a lot better, and this is just going to take some serious nitpicking. This is going to take me a while to do. So for the time being, let me just get rid of all these rocks here. As I kind of made the caves before I made, you know, this cliff face here, so they do look really, really jarring. So what I'm going to do is get the cliff face to kind of like move a little bit further along the entire landmass, if you will. And another thing I am also going to do is, you'll see on this side over here, I've kind of made the land kind of merge into the cliff faces over here. Now, it's a bit of a, I'm very back and forth on this. On the one hand, I think it, you know, has a much nicer transition, but on the other hand, it's also quite jarring. I'm hoping it'll be a nicer transition, or at least nicer than, you know, all these abrupt lines here. So I'm gonna get these lines, I'm gonna get this, you know, sudden change in texture, which is why I would hopefully, preferably like to have these to try and, you know, kind of blur the line a little bit, or at least make it not quite as artificial. At least, again, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that's the case. Let's make that a lot smaller. I tell you guys what, this effect here is really doing my head in. Okay, can I turn off that effect? Let me see the fog. Will I actually turn it off? Oh, it did, thank goodness. Like, I want it there, but obviously it's all done perfectly. I'm not going to change it later on, but god damn it gets really in the way sometimes. Right. Actually, do I want to put it there? I think just one there, actually. That'd be good. Okay, that'd be good. Right then. And then I do want just some little pits here, just so the land goes inwards a little bit. I want a couple of these. The last thing I want to do, right? These are nests that we're going to see. I've got about 3 or 4 in mind. One is going to be this here, you know, just natural caving. Another one's going to be like a coral tunnel caving kind of thing, similar to this prop here, but a little bit different. And another one is going to be in a anemone. So, I'm really surprised I pronounced that right the first time. So we're going to have like these different options. But the biggest thing is that I want to have multiple of them. I don't want to just have this one option there and it exists, like it's the only one in existence. I want these things to be like a reoccurring theme. So I'm going to have like a couple of little holes. I think that's enough for now then. I'm going to make some very thin lines, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and, you know, again, use these big rocks here to like kind of cover it in. A bit of an unfortunate thing with Spore is that you cannot make natural tunnels. You have to make artificial tunnels using these rocks, which really sucks, but, well, the game is limited. What can you do? So that's about the best we're going to get here. But like I said, if it looks a bit messy now, I will be really fine-tuning things later. As you guys may have noticed, I've been doing a lot of things off camera, and that's why I keep on starting every episode with, hey, here's what's happened since. But the truth is, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm just really enjoying just playing with these. It's like I said before, guys, this is my first time making an adventure in about 9 or so years, and I've forgotten so much. But I'm loving it. I'm loving rediscovering things. So yeah, that's why you keep on seeing like bits of progress happening off screen. And hey, I'm just gonna casually throw this out here. If you're one of those people who can't wait to see progress, who can't wait for the videos, I do post every update into the Patreon channels on Discord, so just saying. That's one option to like keep like fully up to date in between. Right. Now, this does look really messy. It looks really, a lot of them like very diagonal. I kind of want to keep that because at the end of the day, caves are not perfectly shaped. I don't want some perfectly shaped circular or square cave. I do want them to be just a little bit random, which is why I'm going for this currently. And what I may do is change the floor of them, that way they're the same consistent texture as the rest of the mountain itself. Right, so we got that as a basics. This is the beginning of it. And just to, like, really cement it, let's just get, like, some roofs installed. Roofs installed. We're doing architecture now. Right, I've got one there, one there. Again, nice and simple. Just getting the basics there. We'll make it nice and pretty later on. And that is one set of nests complete. This is the cave-like ones, which will be a recurring theme throughout. Let's just make sure that they're nice and decent size. They're a lot better than the previous ones were. In fact, they're actually a little bit hard to find. It's like the entrance to this one here is quite obscured. I like that, to be honest. I really like that. So we got one here. Nice, good size. Can I walk out? Yes, I can. I gotta make sure that the player can actually, you know, walk out these things fine, because that's a bit of a thing I always forgot to do when I was younger. I never did a good job of pathing. So, yep, gotta make sure that the player can actually walk out properly here. Nice and easy, good. Right, so that's one done. That is one done. Oh, this one. I did say I wanted to make a nest here, but I think that one's pretty much already done. That's, again, just a case of making it prettier. actually, one thing that just occurred to me, I am going to get rid of these nests. Actually, do I? Thinking. This is going to play a very important role in a moment. Okay, I think, yeah, right. This is fine as it is. We'll keep the one here, but this area needs to be open for now. So we have that one there. We are going to make the anemone? God damn it. I did it so well earlier. I'm going to make the anemone, that's the one. Alright, I don't know why, I always get the N and M mixed apart, but there we go, right. So we're gonna have one of these. This is a creature I made just earlier, by the way. I am gonna try and make a couple of my own ones. But, actually, that being said though, if you guys can make a better one, feel free. I mean, I'm really not gonna say no, because this one's a little bit chaotic. Now, these are going to be large, because again, this is an area for the player to go into. So that's one of them there. Is that the right size? For what I'm after, that's actually going to be fine. Make it a little bit larger. I've got different coloured ones actually. So I've got the pink one here. And I will have a little yellow one right beside it. When it's finished loading. There we go. So I've got the one there. I've got the one here. Maybe like a bit of an angle. And again, I'm going to have like clusters of these later on. And I'll make it all pretty. Now, an important thing for this one I really want, it's going to be absolutely critical, is I want a upside down jump pad. Because it is raised up in the air. So if I have this, and I make this upside down like that, very carefully position it. Now let's try that. Should be able to walk up no problem. Yep, excellent, good. So we've got one like that, we'll have another one over here like this. So you can walk up that one, no problem. Now, what happens if I walk underneath it? Oh god, I just go flying. Right, okay. Only the bottom one though, or only the small one? Okay, so you're fine when it comes to the other one. Unless you do that. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit mixed, but I think with a bit of terrain work, we could probably fix that later on. I'll make it invisible. When it comes to the play modes, see now it just looks like these large open plants or large open areas. I think I am going to make like a bit of decoration such that will indicate that, hey, you can go up here. But this is going to be a bit of a reoccurring theme later on, so guys, expect to see many jump pads in the later episodes of the series. As you can see, I am now floating. Now imagine, if you will, in fact you don't have to imagine, I will show you. Let's get some kind of fish creature. Let's hope someone's already done me the favour and made Invisible Limbs 1. Let's try this Wave Chaser by Jade Elf. I really hope this one's got invisible limbs. Does it? It does actually, thank goodness. So this here is a really good example of one that's just swimming around. And as I go up here, it's now just swimming up. Okay, it's a little bit glitchy. But you can see the effect here is swimming upwards. Let's try that again. Somewhat. There we go, it kind of works, doesn't it? You see like the thing I'm trying to aim for here. So that's another one. So we've got 3 nests so far and a 4th one. I did want a 4th one. That one was going to be this here. So like I said, I also wanted some kind of coral tunnel. Where can I put this? I actually think, come to think of it, I should probably be better off having the anemones closer to the centre. Maybe not against the wall, because right now it's just a very large open space. Although then again though, it is a cove, it is a shallows, so I guess an open space isn't the worst right now. But like I said earlier, in the coral forest, it's going to be a forest. The coral forest is going to be like very densely packed, so I guess yeah, alright. We will have a shallow or emptier area. But I do still want to have this somewhere as well. Just another option. That's all it is another option of a potential nest. And again, it's going to be very heavily decorated later on with various coral, various seaweed and such. That way it doesn't just kind of like randomly stick out. So that could be another one. So we've got one like that. Again, I want another one next to it. I don't want just to be like randomly on their own. I want to like kind of appear in clumps. And again, let's just see how that works. It's quite large. It is definitely quite large, but it works. And it can actually, yeah, I think I'll make it significantly smaller. And this one, of course, isn't properly placed, is it? Oh no, I can still climb up it. Somewhat. Again, more testing. We'll do more testing about it later on. So, that is the general idea. Now, as for how you actually make these into your nest, let's go to Act 2 then. What I'm going to do is going to have this one singular feature that's going to appear in all of them. And that is, as you're probably going to guess, it's going to be a nest. I want it to be a nest small, or a simple one. I was originally going to use the fancy one, but it occurred to me, these are meant to be like very, very small primitive areas, like the most primitive. I think I'd rather it be just like a very simple shape for now. Now this is going to appear in every single one of these, whether they're obscured or not is a thing. But I want them to be among all of them. So we're going to have one here. We're going to have one over here. This should also make the area or make the ground a little bit higher up. That way there's a little bit less climbing involved and the player can like a lot more smoothly walk out. If that makes sense. Hope it did. So we've got one there, one there. That one's kind of clipped in a bit. There you go. One over there. Then we're going to have another one over here. Like that. Oh, actually, that's a really, really bad angle because that's going to be quite glitchy. This might be a much harder one. I think, yeah, okay, let's flatten the ground around here then, shall we? I think it's necessary. So right in the spots here, to be as flat as possible. That might be a bit too flat, actually. But actually, I think that's okay. Yeah, that's good, that's good. So again, we'll get another nest in this little area here. It did just mess up the terrain a little bit around these plants, but again, I can fix that in a while. I'm not terribly rushed about making things perfect on camera, but don't you worry, guys. Like I said earlier, I am editing this a lot off camera. I'm doing all the nitpicking off camera. That way, you guys can see what I'm aiming for, and I can perfect it later on. We're going to have another one up here. By the way, for those who don't know, to move things up and down the, what do you call it, the Z axis, or just generally the vertical axis, hold control. And if you want to do it horizontally, hold shift. Now this one's going to be somewhat obscured, so that way it doesn't look too out of place. There we go, something nice and subtle, but its primary function will still be there. Make that one a lot smaller and far more tilted. Make it a little bit higher. And again, you can just about see it. But it doesn't look too off. So there we go then. And of course, the final one will be among these. So we'll put one there. This one probably can be just diagonal. I think this area here, the coral tubes, these are going to be like the most work in progress ones. I'm gonna put a lot of work into these ones later on. Don't you worry. So something like... That just looks so stupid. There you go, something like that. Now, the purpose of this. So we have these same functional items in every nest. The act, or the objective for Act 2 is going to be to create your nest. Now, what would we want the creature to have to create their nest? I guess a couple of shells. Maybe they need it for camouflaging. That could be the concept here, is they want to try and camouflage their nest. That way they can hide from predators. That's going to be the big key thing. So we're definitely going to want some shells. So we're going to get all three except for the shell simple. That is because it's being used for something else. But we're going to have a couple of shells just kind of darted around the area. Actually, let's make that really small. So how big is that? Yeah, it's about a good size. Maybe I'll have them, like a couple of them clumped up. Maybe they could be next to something like crabs and such. So we've got a couple of these all darted around. We'll get a couple of these ones here as well. So one there, one over there, one there. Another one over there. Oh, whoops. Let's try that again. There we go. One over here. Just all over the place. And, yep, shallow cute as well. We've got a couple of these. I have one there, one there. Oh, we don't want to duplicate that. We've got enough corpses. We don't need any more just yet. One over there and one over there. So we've got shells just listed all over the place. Now what I'm going to do is, for this objective, we're going to moving these. Is it bring to or move to? Bring to. We're going to bring those to these nests. And what that means is we can now bring it to any of the nests. So it doesn't matter which area the player chooses, they can have a nice vegetable one over here, or vegetation one. They can live in a cave, they can live in an anemone. The choice is up to them. The point is that the objectives will all link to those nests, which means it can be in any one of those areas. And like I said earlier, freedom. I want the player to have the freedom and choice to decide where their nest is. And that is going to be like the general gist of it. So I will have another one. So that's all of that type of shell. We're going to have that one as well. This one be linked up to any of them. So let's try that again. Oh, that did not work either. It is weirdly fiddly. So the one downside to using all these creature statues is it overlaps like crazy and it's really hard to like get specifically the item that you're after. I'll just do it over here, it's easier. So we got that. And then we got one more shell over here. Oh, whoops. Which we shall bring to that nest over there. Now, like I said, you can see the 3 icons. It applies to any of them. Now, I can't seem to change the amount it requires, so I think I can only do it 1 each. But that's fine though, I'm going to be experimenting quite a bit with that. Now the key thing here is that a lot of these acts and objectives are going to be hidden. So it's going to be open to interpretation. So I definitely am going to have a bit of a play around. I don't really like all 3 of them being shells, and I can see I can only have 1 of each. So I might like have a couple of different options here. Maybe I can have like some skeletons around. Maybe some bits of grass or vegetation. In fact, idea. Right, I've got an idea, guys. Let's get rid of all of those. What I want to see, if I get a white key, that's not being used by anything else. If I have 2 different white keys, is that going to count as the same thing or not? I don't think it will, but it's worth a try. I can't bring it to anything anyway. Okay, that's not going to work. What else can I do, actually? Give, I can pick up or hold. Yeah, that's not going to work. Alright then, that's going to be open to experimentation. But again, you see my general idea here. Now, before we wrap things up, I'm going to show you one more thing. So like I said, I want the player to know that when they make their nest, it is there to protect them later on. So throughout the aquatic stage, in different areas, if they see like these familiar looking areas, they can think to themselves, oh, maybe I can protect myself here. And the way they can protect themselves is with the whole boundary wall thing we mentioned before. So just like the surface, I'm going to be abusing these boundary walls that way. If the player does decide to hide them on one of these from a predator, let's go ahead and hide that entirely for a moment. In fact, we'll just have it rough like that for now. We got that there. Our player is here. And let's say we have some kind of scary creature. Let's say we get like a crocodile here. There we go. A nice big swimming alligator. Now that, let's get rid of everything. The very moment that this alligator sees the player is going to attack it. Let's make it aware of player. And its awareness is going to be maximum. Just like the Willosaurs. So there we go. We will make it, actually I'm currently invincible. Okay, good. So as you can see, it's all, oh that looks amazing by the way. Ooh, Jada, fantastic job. The animation on that is really cool. So we got a crocodile attacking us. I'm afraid I want to be protected. Now going to this nest. Now I'm safe. It doesn't know I'm here. What I may have to do though is make it wander. Let's try that actually. So maybe if I do that, this could be like a general thing for later on. So if I make it wander around, it can wander always. Good. And the blue ring, as you guys informed me, thank you by the way. The blue ring is where is the radius that it'll wander in. Let's make that really, really large for now. Let's run into here. And now it's off. Now it's lost interest entirely. Awesome. Now it's attacking me again. Oh god, the camera's really spazzy. It's still attacking me, and now it's wandering off. Now, like I said, I'm gonna find... Oh, it's still attacking. Wait, mate. Nope. Now it doesn't know what it's doing. Alright, like I said, we're gonna fine-tune this all later on. I'm showing you guys the method I'm gonna approach. I'm gonna make it all work and work well later on. But yeah, that's the idea then. So that is the entire purpose of the nest. So that's gonna be Act 2. Act 1 is to explore the area. Act 2 is to make your own nest. In fact, that being said, maybe in that case I should also have a explorer point here and a exploration point over here. So like I said earlier, I want it to be options. So yeah, that is going to be it so far. So guys, I hope you're liking the method so far. I'm going to go ahead and make it like really functional off camera. I'm going to make it all pretty as well. We're going to have these anemones all over the place and they're going to look natural, not alone like that. The caves are going to look a lot better as well. I'm going to actually hide these boundary walls that actually make sense. You can't see them. But again, that's the overall idea. As always, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, any questions, if you're wondering why I'm doing certain things, please do feel free to comment down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying it, and I really can't wait to see you all next time. Cheers.